ranking each final boss of every TBC raid tier. But first things first, in the previous video, I accidentally skipped one raid, so let me catch up real quick. Assyrian the Unscarred AQ 20, which is basically the average AQ of all the 20 people watching my stuff. F tier. Alright, here's the thing. This guy easily weighs over 100 tons, and I feel like I need to clarify what that actually means, because apparently some of you are so deep in the Gunnar brain mindset that whenever I am describing a con, you think I'm actually describing a bonus. If that were the case, then there would be no point in making a tier list. Everyone would be just perfect in bed. So, to all the Gunnars expecting me to say what you want to hear, fuck you. I'm not bending to your will. We're thinking with our heads here, not with our dicks. Anyway, dude weighs at least 100 tons, so I really don't see him being gentle, nor safe. He's probably the size of the Lincoln Memorial statue, aka Abraham Lincoln, which means there is no conceivable way any part of him is gonna fit in you. And now before the Gunners start celebrating how that's a good thing, let me stress, you take anything that is 3 times the size of your asshole and ram it up said asshole, you're not gonna feel great. You're gonna be in pain, tremendous pain, agonizing pain. You're gonna be in the hospital, hooked up to every conceivable device to keep your body from giving up, or worse, you're gonna be at your funeral because you're gonna be dead. Now, could we possibly negotiate with him, ask him to be gentle, quote? Not happening. He's more of a living weapon than a reasonable individual, and even if he could take it easy, there's another problem. So even though he's based on Egyptian statues, which I've been told are supposed to be smooth on the surface, sure, but this guy, he's a war veteran. I highly doubt his skin surface is anything close to being smooth. Definitely coarse, cracked, rough as hell. If I somehow piss you off with my analysis and I threaten your fantasy of having mind-blowing sex with a bloodthirsty old god-possessed Egyptian bird statue, I can help you with that. Step outside, find the nearest rock, and shove it up your ass. Pretend it's the boss, and then let me know how it feels. Or hear me out. You could just listen to me and save yourself the pain. So, my conclusion, not happening, F tier, moving on. Now on to the Burning Crusade. Remember, final bosses only. Prince Malchezaar, Karazhan. I'm giving this guy a C tier. First off, size. Dude's over 3 meters tall. I don't know what units you're used to, but I'm using meters. I guess he weighs somewhere around half a ton, maybe more. He's big, he's buff. That's gotta add up to something. I don't know how much Fel weighs. Either way, he's a demon. That means he's full of it, and that is a health hazard. I also don't see how Infernal's raining down from the sky helps. It's putting your life at risk for no fucking reason. I assume because he's an intelligent being, we could technically negotiate with him to not drop an Infernal on top of us. Hopefully. Now the important part. Enfeeble. This reduces your health all the way to 1. This does not, however, affect the main target, but it does affect everyone else. Therefore, unless you want your friends to suffer, group sex is off the table. And finally, the boss can make weapons come to life. I'm probably stating the obvious here, but if you swap out weapons for something safer, more exciting, then yeah, you see where I'm going with this, right? Anyway, conclusion, toys only. Bring 2 of them. This boss is a dual wielder. He's still a demon lord, so that's dangerous. That's the reason why I'm giving him B tier. Wait, C? B? I don't remember. Anyway, moving on. Theroden, the Theroden Slayer. I'm giving this an E tier, and here's why. Sure, he's huge, weighs a fuck ton, and Pit Lord's got a crapload of Fel inside of them, which is a health hazard, and given the way he looks, he probably has reptilian sex organs. That means they're anatomically incompatible, whether you like it or not. So why E tier? Why not F? So here's the thing. This guy has been chained up for God knows how long. That means nothing this guy can do to stop you. Now there are these mobs called Hellfire Channelers, which will obviously try to hurt you when you try to get close. So what you do is you find a way to distract them, and then you have 2 minutes, 2 solid minutes before he gets loose. In this 2-minute time window, you can do whatever you want with Mechtheroden's body. Now I don't know what. You're gonna have to get creative. Keep in mind, he is locked up, therefore he has no choice in the matter, and even though he's an evil demon lord who would probably destroy you, kill your family, and then dominate your home planet, you are still taking advantage of him, and that qualifies as sexual assault. Therefore, please do make sure that you get his consent first, because that is the ethical thing to do. Conclusion, very limited options. Pit Lords are not mechanically nor anatomically viable for sex. Even though you will have 2 minutes only to get something done, this does benefit early finishers. Anyway, moving on. Gruul the Dragonkiller, Gruul Slayer. F tier. Apparently there's a recurring pattern with most WoW bosses, is that they are dangerously huge and dangerously heavy. Now, as the voice of reason, it is my duty to remind you that no, being lethally massive is not a perk. Getting your tits or balls literally crushed is not fun. That's death. You cannot have sex if you are dead. Okay, counter argument. Let's ask the boss to be gentle. Can we do that? No, not happening. This guy doesn't do gentle. Number 1. 2, he's also dumb as hell. Probably illiterate.
probably room temperature IQ. You're not negotiating with this guy. Also, have you ever considered how an ogre takes a shower? Do they even have a sewage system in Blade's Edge Mountains? I imagine they probably don't have a sewage system in most of Azeroth, but anyway, this guy eats dragons. He's enormous. He probably shits logs the size of your house and probably sleeps in a tube. Because I don't know, they don't have bathrooms, they don't have toilets, they don't flush. Conclusion, physically unsafe, zero sanitization if you like getting stepped on. Maybe. Anyway, next. Lady Vashj, Serpentshrine Cavern. Bottom S tier. So, there is a height difference, but I would say if you're taller than the average male, you could be looking at her chest area, which, unlike the rest of her body, is still humanoid. That means titties. Now, sadly, Blizzard hates titties because they're allergic to big boobs. But thankfully, at least I think so, lore-wise, that is not the case. And the lore is law, even if Blizzard doesn't think so. Tail, okay? So she can do some choking action. Great. She is really strong though, and therefore she could easily suffocate you to death. Now, you could ask her not to do that because obviously she's an intelligent individual. Multiple arms, I don't think this needs explaining. Former servant to Queen Ashara. Well, what do you know? She's got experience. Unfortunately, she probably smells like a fish. Spends a lot of time around fish people. She's in human environments too. If that's good or bad, I don't know. I suppose it's subjective. Kael'thas Sunstrider, the Eye, Tempest Keep. A tier. So guy's got a good size, doesn't weigh like an elephant, anatomically compatible all around. As far as I know, Kael'thas is supposed to look like he's the peak genetic example of a model elf, which means, TLDR, he's meant to be a hot dude. He's got friends, and they're in peak physical shape. They're literally skull level, that's how I know. The icing on the cake is that Kael'thas can make inanimate things animate, and definitely more than two, unlike Prince Malchezaar. And unlike Prince Malchezaar again, Kael'thas looks like a human, with pointy ears because he's an elf. So again, replace the weapons with you-know-what, and you can get some really good things going on. He can also start a fire, Phoenix Fire. I guess that's romantic. Zero gravity magic. I don't see the problem with this. This could be a fun adventure, all I'm saying. Now, unfortunately, despite everything I've said, there is one glaring issue, or two glaring issues. One, he's mentally unstable. Two, this is subjective. He's an elf. Conclusion, basically this could go perfect or terribly wrong. Just like Russian roulette. Archimonde, Battle of Mount Hyjal. For sex, F tier. Suction, probably S tier. Let's go with S tier. Hear me out. All you need is a large, girthy dick, okay? Now, if you don't have one, a tree costume will be enough. If you got both, then may as well call it an S tier plus. The strat is that we want to play off of Archimonde's dendrophilia, aka sexual addiction to trees. That way you can enjoy getting sucked off like you've never been sucked off before. Now, word of advice, don't get it on in places with sand, because the last thing you want him to do is start building sandcastles. Illidan Stormrage, Black Temple, bottom B tier. He is not humongously huge, still huge, but in a manageable way. I'm concerned about his self-control. He can be very intense, like guy's definitely got energy and could definitely spice things up, but I feel like there's a line which, once crossed, you're not uncrossing it. Because of that, I would definitely avoid getting into extremes, or at least try to engage him on an emotional level. I wouldn't do that. 10,000 years of pent-up sexual frustration is no joke. You could try doing it soft. You know, keep it nice, keep it slow, just don't take it personally if he calls you by another name. He's got another person on his mind that might make things awkward. So, conclusion, definitely doable. The glass cannon of sex. High risk, high reward. Zul'jin, Zul'jin. So this guy can transform into animals, which means he's basically an advanced furry. Okay. Kil'jaeden, the Sunwell Plateau. It's the same thing. Can you fuck somebody the size of 8 adult African elephants combined? Also, he's missing the lower half of his body, which is giga weird. Next up, Wrath of the Lich King.